Hey everyone, my name is Andy. I'm going to be streaming Duke A versus Waterloo today. Should be a pretty easy match for Duke. Rating is way higher. Excuse me. Right now we're starting with Benjamin Yan's game. A very boring Queen's Gambit declined. It's almost Thanksgiving break, so most people are getting out of here. We got a new player for the A team, Leo. I actually played Leo a few weeks ago and got demolished. Interesting fact, the A team were looking for another player because they didn't have 4, and they almost put me in. Now that would have been a disaster, but luckily they found someone who is somewhat decent. All 4 games have begun, and position here looking pretty solid for white. This is the type of position I like to get myself into. Love the d4, c4. Personally, I don't typically go for this knight to f3 stuff. I usually like to go with the knight e2, f3. But Benjamin Yan deciding to play it a little bit more standard. Should be a pretty equal game. Moving on to Barney's game. Looks like we have a Nimzo Indian with a Dutch. Yeah, very standard Nimzo. This looks like a what's it called? This is a stupid name. Gotham chess. Gotham chess opening here with f5 knight here. Maybe there will be some d6 here type shenanigans, but we'll see what Barney likes to do. This is a very standard play by black here. Pretty equal position as well. Let's move. Check in on everyone. Gordon deciding to go for a French. What the? Okay, so this is like an ortho schnapp. If d5. Gordon saying, I'm just going to play c5, turn this into some sort of weird English Sicilian thing. Yeah, this looks like a very odd Sicilian dragon type. I don't even know. This is d5, very good move to get into the Sicilian. And there's some exchanges here. And at the end of the day, black's left with an isolated d-pawn. And I like white's position here, actually. Black is in a lot of pressure here. This knight is pinned, and this pawn is under threat. Everything is being threatened here. Maybe can't even push the pawn because the rook is in a pin. Right now, the immediate threat is to take on e7 and win the pawn. Don't like that move. Immediately there's knight takes and white is currently up a pawn, but b2 is going to fall, so maybe this is actually good for black. Stockfish saw something else here. After rook b8, there is some other move. I don't see it, but I don't usually see most of these moves. To queen g5 here, this pawn is under threat, and black got rid of his isolated d-pawn. So now the position is very equal. Arguably, black can be considered better because he has the bishop pair, which is solid. And yeah, I think black got rid of most of his problems there. There's a lot of pressure on the d5 pawn, but at the end of the day, black has the bishop pair. He's going to win back the pawn. And yeah, Gordon playing it pretty safe. Let's look at Leo here. Leo as white, playing Nimzo Indian. Well, this is not really Nimzo. It's kind of weird. Oh, this turns into a Nimzo here. And after takes, white does not have the isolated pawn, does not have the trapped bishop, albeit does not have the bishop pair. Bishop to b1, very standard here. This looks like some sort of queen's gambit decline position even. And giving black the hanging pawns, winning a pawn. And yeah, I mean, white is simply just up a pawn here and has a knight behind the isolated d-pawn, very positional. This bishop on b1 is very thematic. The rook on c5, I mean, is easily going to be doubled up next move. It looks like white has very easy plans in play. Now with h6, just sort of a waiting move. I don't really get it. Maybe black is just like, I don't want to spend too much time here. And white, yeah, simply doubling up on the c file. Maybe there's some rook to c7 action happening here. Maybe some a3 to solidify. And, I mean, I don't really know what black can really do. Black going for rook to b8, trying to move the bishop, maybe with some sort of tempo to attack the b4 pawn. But, I mean, if anything, just a3. Leo, saying, okay, I don't need a3. If you move the bishop, I'm just going to keep pushing. c5, a5. The rook here is defended because of the rook on c1. And yeah, this battery along the c file is pretty nasty. Yeah. All the games looking pretty solid so far for Duke. No one's in some serious problem. Let's go back to Ben's position, a very similar looking position. And yeah, black has the isolated d-pawn. My initial thought right now is just knight d4, putting the knight in the center. There might be some coordination along these diagonal if this pawn's allowed to move, which is definitely what black wants. But if white can simply place the pawn on d4, or the knight on d4, there's not really a big deal. Playing very solid everyone's games. Let's look at this weird Nimzo Indian. After d6, knight d7, knight g5, trying to trade off the pair of knights. Only trading after the queen moves, bishop coming to d5, pawn exchange. Some pressure here on this pawn, looks like it's going to be lost. If takes, but there's pressure along this file if that opens, so deciding to opt for this, opting for a queen trade. And Alyssa putting Barney in an endgame with equal material, albeit black does have the doubled pawns here. So and white does have the bishop. The position is relatively close, so you could argue that the knight was better, so Alyssa decides to trade it off. And now the rook coming to f4. Barney's still having to worry about this a little bit, but obviously pushing g5, that makes a lot of sense to me. And now bringing the king into the game, as does white. It looks like it's going to be an endgame. Let's see if the FN from Duke is able to break down Alyssa's position and outclass her in the endgame. Not too sure how that's going to go. Wow, b5. Very aggressive. Trying to break down the white pawns over there. Obviously, if take. No passed pawns yet for either side, but yeah. Already thinking that this is a good trade for black. c5 looked like the only non-passive move. And yeah, looks like there's going to be some passed pawns if either pawn or rook takes. Let's see if Barney wants to trade the rooks off here. Is the king and pawn endgame winning? That's probably what he's calculating. Oh, wow. We have a victory already. Leo, a strong performance right off the bat. And yeah, this queen to c2, getting a fork. Wow. Then after moving here, a simple knight to f5, and there's the game. So a huge win from the fourth board, my replacement. A very smart idea not to have me play. Leo scores the first point for Duke. And that's just going to be the beginning of the end, I think, for Waterloo. Let's go back to Gordon's game. I don't want to see a boring endgame. Let's see some middle game action. And in action do we have Gordon having a mate in 7. This is ridiculous. So what happened here after what we saw here? We got some activity. We have a sacrifice. And not a sacrifice. And now the pieces are just coming in. Bishop to f8, g3 takes, check. And yeah, wow. Gordon finds the mate in 7, and that's just going to be mate after here. And yeah, after rook here. Where's the king going? King's going here. There was a faster mate, but I mean, this is just going to do. That's mate right there. And wow. Duke taking down another. Gordon, a very strong player from the Duke side. Waterloo in deep shambles here. Maybe they should have had me play. That way they had the chance. Let's look at Ben's game. Ben also in an endgame, same colored bishop's endgame. Ben much lower on time. And yeah, it looks like Black was trying to flag him there. It looks like it was a free pawn. But I mean, this position looks very, very equal. It's probably going to end up a draw. But I mean, Ben does have to be careful. These pawns here on the king side are pretty weak. King coming to b2, nullifying position. And then after a simple g3, I mean, Black cannot take any of these pawns, whereas White can. So if anyone's pushing for a win, it's White here. Stockfish says it's equal, but you never know what Ben can do. Should be very straightforward. And probably will liquidate into a draw. Yeah, Black can just shuffle his bishops, and there's nothing that White can do. Let's go to Barney's game. And Barney actually was losing here. What happened here? So there was some unfortunate. He had to lose double pawns. And yeah, after this, I mean, this is completely winning endgame for White. Maybe I spoke too soon at some point. And now, I mean, as soon as you can trade off this pawn and get some things, I mean, this king is completely cut off from the position. Not looking too great for Black here. The king is completely cut off. And Alyssa looking to take a win over Duke here. You gotta get the king out of checks. Put the king behind the pawn. Now you put the rook here as well. The issue is, how does this... Yeah, the king comes in here. Let's see if Alyssa can convert this endgame. And yeah, that just looks like a very clean method, saying, you're not checking my king, and the pawn has 3 squares to walk down. Alyssa, with plenty of time, can simply just walk the king behind the rook. And yeah, you don't want to go rook d7, because then rook to g7. Barney saying, okay, I hope you push... Please push h8. Barney says, I want that pawn to promote now. But Alyssa not falling for the tricks. And a simple resignation should be coming soon. After king to g7, there's really nothing that Black can do. Wow! What the hell happened here? It looked completely equal. Did Ben try and push it too far? Oh, he should have gone for the draw. And then after this, it's just, oh my god, that's a horrible result. I guess I spoke too soon. Waterloo taking down Duke's top 2 boards, the bottom 2 boards, having a field day. Wow, that's kind of crazy, actually. Are you serious? Oh my god. That was so drawn. I mean, you just repeat moves there. And Ben saying, "Oh, I have too big of an ego. I want to win against this lower-rated player," and just completely throwing the game like someone who has a mental condition. Horrible. And yeah, Barney's gonna lose this. This is just depressing here. Bishop to b3. Wow. That's just depressing. Ugh. Typically, I feel like that you want the pawns on the opposite color as your king. But in this case, white was unable to defend the king's infiltration, and then, yeah, this is just, wow. That's just poor. Oh, so yeah. It's 2-2. I spoke too soon. But hopefully Ben will realize that he shouldn't be such an idiot in the next game. And actually take the draw when the position is completely drawn. And yeah, it looks like these guys are good at endgames. I mean, Alyssa and I have night vision able to hold both Ben and Barnabas in endgame. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Wow. But Gordon and Leo, a dominant performance from the bottom two boards. Ugh, ridiculous.
70.
But still 3 more rounds to go. Still tied up, everyone. Alyssa playing very well despite, I guess she's not the bottom board. Yeah, just waiting for the next rounds to start. Perhaps it's the classic internet connection being very slow. We'll see when the next one starts. Yeah, black one here, obviously. Don't need chess.com to remind me of that. And we got some new games. Let's take a look at Leo. Leo starting off very well. Again, in some very strange position here. This position looks pretty interesting. How did this come about? Oh, it's a exchange French. Ew. Knight to f8. Disgusting. Maybe black is saying, okay, I admit you've done well here. I'm going to try and castle queenside. I mean, c4 just looks nasty. I mean, c4, you got to go... I guess you don't have to go anything specific because you can take with the knight. But yeah, c6 looks very thematical, preparing knight c3, and now probably something just like queen d7. Just saying, okay, you can take, and I'm going to castle here, but I mean, there's also queen c2 in that line, defending castling, so maybe just like queen c7. I mean, this is just so ugly here. The king in the center is really rearing its ugly head here for black. And, okay, bishop e7 saying, finally my bishop is no longer pinned. You're going to have to take it or fuck off. Then once you fuck off, I can move my knight and castle kingside. And this also opens the queen. This is actually a very good move, I think. I didn't see this idea here. Sort of admitting that bishop d6 was a problem, it was a bad move. But honestly, in this position, makes the most sense. Because if you try and justify it, it's probably just going to get worse. So good on Leo here for not being too dogmatic. And now black's position doesn't seem too bad. I mean, the knights are in the center. Yes, black is slightly less developed. Maybe there's some bishop e3. The king is still in the center. But at the end of the day, it definitely doesn't look as bad as it was before. And after c5, the center is actually closed here. Castling is an immediate option. There's also queen to c7, b6 ideas. as well, trying to break down the center. And I mean, it's very obvious what White wants to do here. He wants to push these pawns and break open on the queen side. So it makes a lot of sense for Black to sort of say, okay, I'm just going to go king side. Yeah, Leo getting out of a sort of turbulent opening, but should be looking okay now. Let's go back to Barnabas's game. Barnabas is, I believe, is white against Waterloo's lowest rated player. And a classic Barnabas, knight f3, starting. I personally hate playing against this. We got a double fianchetto, we got the c4, and this is just, I've seen this position so many times. This is a little bit weird here. Going for d3 and then d4. Perhaps d3 was a mouse slip. I mean, this pyramid here looks kind of weird. It's probably just a mouse slip. Barnabas saying, okay, I'm going to be black, that's fine. Because Black has trapped in his bishop already. And after rook c8, c5, it looks like you just dropped a pawn. And White's rooks are in the center, the two open files. Yes, the knight is pinned, but I mean, look at the miscoordination. Like, what the fuck is this knight doing here on b6? Yes, this knight is pinned for a minute, but after Barnabas can simply retreat the queen here, probably anticipating some bishop here, then the knight can move. And I mean, this just looks like a pleasant position for White. I mean, what is going on here? Like, these pieces are just completely, and White's pieces are just on perfect squares. Stockfish giving +4 here, so there must be some sort of tactic. I'm looking at maybe for some like knight to c6 move, attacking the queen, and like maybe Stockfish saying that like the queen is getting trapped somehow. Personally, I don't really see it. But oh, Barney played knight c6, and then after a capture. Oh, the bishop defends the knight. That's smart. After here, I mean, look at... Oh, there's an exchange. And, I mean, this game should be over very shortly. So, good work to Barnabas for sort of saying, okay, I threw the last game, but this game we're not going to mess around. We're just going to... I mean, look at this. I'm just rook e7 here. Yeah, that's just... Even I can see the win. That's how clear the win is. All right. Let's move on to Alyssa. Alyssa had a huge performance against Barnabas last game. Let's see if she can take down Gordon. How did this bishop get to d6? Gordon playing the tall variation of the Caro-Kann. See, Duke has a million Caro-Kann players, so it's unwise to play that against you. Oh, what? This is just ridiculous here. The bishop on d6. If you take with, that's just hilarious. b6 trying to break down position, but at the end of the day, what Gordon is just holy. Yeah, this is just ridiculous here. And the pawn on b6 is pinned because the queen is undefended, and White can't castle. I mean, I'm just looking at something like rook h3, trying to put some pressure here. Maybe having some knight takes e6 sacrifices. Okay, Alyssa's getting some counterplay here, bringing the queen into the game. I mean, yeah, there is some pressure here on the b6 square, and you know, if this falls, then there might not be this bishop on d6. So Alyssa is still posing some questions for Gordon here, which is good on her. But, I mean, I just want to start moving my pieces. I mean, the rook h3 looks pretty natural. There it goes. All right, rook h3, and Stockfish disapproving, but I approve, so who cares about Stockfish? Queen could be coming in this way, maybe queen e2. Rook a7 saying, okay, I'm going to do some long-range defense. Stockfish hating the move, probably because it doesn't work. I mean, that just looks hella silly. Black's king is still stuck in the center because of this crazy bishop on d6. And yes, Barnabas already winning. That's ridiculous. I mean, nice. But I jinxed our team last time, so I'm not going to say anything. Oh my god. I mean, knight takes... I just want to play queen c2 here. Queen c2, knight takes, and then queen takes g6. Or maybe even just knight takes g6 immediately. Gordon has got. I mean, Gordon loves the sacrifice, and I mean, surely that's going to happen here in very momentarily. Maybe Queen B1 maintaining pressure, but no, I don't like that. I just want to start sacking. Come on, Gordon, sack. If you don't sack, I'm leaving your game. He's really thinking here, which is good. I mean, I would have just sacked immediately, but that's why I'm 1700. I mean, he's really taking his time here, which props to him. He does have the minute left, but he does need to make sure he doesn't get too low on time in case the attack doesn't work out and he needs to bail out. There you go. Queen C2. I could have played that in 30 seconds. Gordon instead opting for taking a minute there. But the real question is, what is Alyssa doing here? The king is very, very trapped here. Maybe there's some rook to G8 move here, trying to defend that even more. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know that knight e6 is coming. I think it might be time to just chop the bishop on d6, give your king some more breathing room, and then potentially move this knight as well to allow the other rook to come to the defense. That's what I would do for Alyssa. No, instead, knight to f8, and you know, if I'm Gordon, I'm thinking, can I take and sack? But I don't know if that's going to work out. Oh, king takes is smart, maybe. That way you don't sack with check. And yeah, Alyssa's saying, okay, after you sack, I'm going to swing the rook in and defend. So maybe it's smart for Gordon to bring the other rook in, but Gordon's like, no, I'm just coming in here. And I mean, at the worst case scenario, Gordon's going to pick up a million pawns for this knight, and this knight on c8 is just so restricted. You obviously can't go to e7 because that'll hang the rook on h8. And yeah, rook to f7 makes some sense here, but yeah, queen e6, the knight is hit. The queen can't really come in here. I mean, Alyssa definitely trying to go for some counterplay along this f2 square. Maybe the queen can enter to e2. But at the end of the day, you have this, and then Alyssa or Gordon at any time can just play f3 and shut off the file here. Which, yeah, I want to stay with this game because it's sort of crazy. We have a thing here, and Gordon, very instructive here. I mean, I'm not one to instruct anyone, but that's what the YouTubers say. Rook to b1, getting directly to the open file, threatening rook to b8. And I mean, this king is just so restricted. I mean, where is he going? It has no squares. And this rook here is just doing nothing. It has no ability to get into the game. The queen is sidelined as well. And if the queen moves off to here to defend b8, then the knight is hanging. So even though black is sort of trying to create some more attack, if white can simply get the rook to the back rank, bring this rook in, I mean, these rooks, all their pieces are so uncoordinated. It's actually quite beautiful here. Yeah, and now she's very low on time, trying to figure out how to defend knight to b6. And now, wow, now knight takes c5, and the knight can't move unless b8 hangs. So queen to e2 happening, saying that if you do this, this does not come with check. Whoa! Because after takes king h2, Gordon's like, there's no more checks. And now, despite you getting your queen active, white is the one saying, okay, it's mate in 1. What are you going to do? Stockfish giving mate in 10. And yeah, there's the time win here. Gordon taking down Alyssa. Huge win for Gordon. Looks like Leo lost to Night Vision. This was the weird French game. It looks like Leo is down some material. Looks like it was some attack. Let's go to Ben's game to see what happens. Ben has a small time advantage, with Patrick only have 6 seconds left. Material. Ben is up a rook. Yeah, this is just complete. And yeah, as long as Ben doesn't hang anything here, it should be a pretty straightforward win. Patrick probably just trying to not lose on time here, win some time back. And Ben does have to be careful. The rook is a little bit loose. I would play king to h8 and just try and solidify the king to ensure that there's no more checks. To be honest, I would have waited for... And there goes the pawn. And there goes the game, because after queen takes, yeah, that's a resignation there. So a 3-1 victory for Duke here. Ben and Barnabas coming back, and Gordon saying, I want to be undefeated. I want to be the first board, trying to prove that he's the best player on Duke's campus and the CCL. A very strong showing by Duke here. A very, very interesting game by Gordon. Very good attacking game. I love the sacrifice. I love the queen c2. That's just a classic Gordon play right there. And yeah, I mean, I've played against Gordon in real life, and it's just doomed whenever I try. So we love to see that. We love to see that. So Duke is winning 5-3 right now. No draws yet. Looks like to be a very decisive game. Duke only needing 3.5 more points over 2 rounds in order to secure the victory here. Waterloo needs to do some catching up. And it's not looking... I mean, Ben and Barnabas, they're angry. They threw the first game. Now they know that I'm clowning them in the stream. And they're like, okay, I can't lose anymore. So now they're going to be more solid. And you don't want to make them angry. You want to sort of make it so that you beat them on the last one and out of nowhere, and then you win. But now that you made them angry, it's sort of screwed for you guys, Waterloo. I mean, all of you guys there are like CS majors. Can't believe you didn't figure this one out. You can solve leak code hards, but not a simple psychology problem. And yeah, Waterloo simply regrouping. And they're sort of shocked by their losses. And yeah, matches haven't started yet, according to my computer. My computer doesn't speak for reality, always. Yeah, geez. I think the play, especially from Gordon, has been very solid. I think Duke still is getting into some opening trouble, but just because of our better fundamentals, I think we're able to pull back in the middle game, and that's sort of the trend I'm seeing right now. Yeah, my computer not happy. Looks like Waterloo's taking a break because they're just so scared. And there we go. The games have started. Let's look at... let's just start with Barnabas's game. Why not? Take a look at what type of opening he's playing. Looks like there was some London. Barney going for the c5 idea. And dropping the pawn initially on c5. So right now, white is up pawn. And maybe trying to play b4 here. So, I mean, I'm looking at a5, just trying to say I'm not letting you play b4. And then attempting to collect this pawn at some point. Perhaps that's what Barney is thinking. How can I collect the pawn on c5 back? And do I really want to castle kingside? I mean, white does have the open h-file. So maybe white will wait until... No, he doesn't. He doesn't give a fuck. Wow. I wouldn't have done that. Stockfish is slightly unhappy, but still the same. I mean, Barney did take 47 seconds there. Maybe he was tuning into what I was thinking. Just kidding. He would never do that. What I'm thinking often hurts their games. So, yeah, listening to me is actually a detriment. Yeah, the game looks pretty boring. This might be a pretty interesting imbalance. I typically don't like going for these positions as black because I'm usually scared. I don't like to lose material so fast in the opening. But yeah. All right, let's take a look. Okay, Alyssa versus Leo. Leo losing the second game, winning the first game, doing better than I would have done. And Alyssa going for this classic Queen's Gambit Decline structure, but Leo going for this sort of Catalan structure. And yeah, I mean, I see Luke play this a lot. Luke, very, very common player here. And what just happened here? Where is this knight going? And if you go here, this pawn is under a little bit of threat. This pawn is a little weak as well. To be honest, I don't like playing these positions. Okay, interesting. Black saying this looks too loose for me, so I'm not gonna go there. I feel like I never know what to do with this dark squared bishop, and that's why I never go for these fianchetto systems as white, because I just don't really know what to do. In contrast here, Leo is saying, okay, I'm pushing here. I'm going to exploit the fact that your king is weak. This does allow black to get some sort of check here eventually, and the two bishops can have a clear eye on white's king. But Leo's saying, Leo's saying, if you take, maybe I'll take with the rook. Maybe I'll take with the bishop. Or actually, I'll probably take with the pawn, solidify the e5 square, move the king to h1, and then just do some sort of attack along these two diagonals. I mean, black's king is exposed, weakened by g5 and h6, but so is white's king. Arguably less exposed white's king, because this is, you got the bishop here, and this knight is just so ugly. I mean, you're probably bringing it to g7 and coming here. Black's saying, okay, I'm going to expand on the queen side. Looks to be a pretty dynamic game. Let's look at Ben versus their lowest rated player. Ben, significantly lower on time. Playing a Grunfeld defense and going for the Russian variation. Actually, very interesting fun fact. When I first met Ben at a tournament, I told him I played the Grunfeld as black, and he was like, oh, what do you do against the Russian variation? Because Ben thinks the Russian variation is the best variation. And here he is. I mean, this is what Ben plays. Castles e4. Hanging the pawn b7. I don't know if this is theory or not. Queen getting kicked around. White with a huge center, although arguably not much space for the king. And though the pieces, this is just crazy. White saying that the king is safest in the center. I have a huge pawn center here, and there's like no pieces left on the queen side. White is up 2 pawns. But black is up king safety. The rook to a3 move is a little bit confusing to me, but I mean, what I see is some queen e6 trying to target a2 as well as e4. How will Ben defend against this? It's a tough position to play as white because the king is so exposed. Ben saying f5. Let's break open your king. Wow. Ben has sacrificed a pawn to get a huge attack on the king side. Stockfish giving draw. That's likely because there was some perpetual, but after rook to d8, Stockfish saying plus 14 for white. Surely there's just some simple pawn takes f5 here, and then after here, you can simply just go this way maybe. There's no e5. This is looking crazy. Pawn takes g6, rook takes check, bishop here, and after queen to b4, likely just king to f1, and no more checks. And there are checks, however, coming from the white side. There's queen to h7, queen to f7 mate. There's also takes discovered check, which is pretty much mate. I mean, how black is doing here is unknown. I wonder if Ben doesn't want to bring his king in front of the rook because of this here. But I mean, after bishop e, there was rook a1, so king to g2 is relatively forced. And then after pawn takes, surely queen takes, and then there's also some king h1 shenanigans here. This is classy. Saying king h1 first, I want to take with my rook. You're not defending this. That's cool. I like that. And just being patient. I mean, the rook can't defend it, so you can't trade off a pair of rooks. And even if you did trade off everything, white is still just up a pawn. Black's king now in the one with serious danger. Black had to spend a lot of time recuperating all the pawns that he sacked. But white can simply get his king to the corner, get his queen attacking the king. And this is just looking a little bit suspicious for black. Black's probably like shell-shocked, probably completely confused, and just scared of getting mated. I mean, you have to hope that the king can run away. But if you play king to f7 right now, just queen takes, and then, you know, it's mate in 2. Wow. Queen takes d4, saying that... To be honest, I don't even know what I was saying. That was just ugly. Ben taking a huge win. Only 2.5 more wins needed for Duke to clinch the match. Let's take a look at Gordon. Alyssa taking down Leo. Gordon here. What the hell is going on? What's the pawn count? White, it's up a pawn. But white has severely damaged pawn structure. Black has some pressure along the f-file, but this can easily be defended. Queen to c5, classy defense. Rook to f5, probably trying to get in to attack these pawns. Smart move. It looks like Duke cannot win on this game, but if Gordon and Barney can take a dub here, then we can get up to 8. This match is looking pretty tight, looking very tight for Duke. Waterloo's Alyssa doing very, very well, sort of trying to protect against this. And now look at this wall of pawns here. This is the power of connected pawns. The rook also preventing any pawn breaks. That's classy. And now queen takes a3. The pawns are equalized. Stockfish giving black is slightly better. Gordon here converting cleanly. Oh! And a blunder wins Gordon the game. Oh! White was trying to get into the position with queen b8, but simply dropping a rook is not the way to go. Duke at 7, looking very strong. Gordon proving that he is among the best. Let's see if Barney can take down Patrick Huang. Barnabas is king in the center of the board. White up a knight. But is that just not a queen hung? What the hell? That's the time pressure getting to him. That's a classic time pressure situation. Now black is completely winning. I mean, Barney was really struggling here. What went on here? Looks like there was some attack along this h-file, which I was scared about. And he's sacking a knight. I mean, I sort of predicted that. What the heck? This is so chaotic. And yeah, just a resignation. What? I come to the game and they just simply blunder. They're scared. They're intimidated by me. I mean, that happened to Gordon and that just happened to Barney. And now Duke is at 8 points. So just a draw needed to clinch the victory. We'll probably get much more than that. But nevertheless, I mean, Ben, Gordon, and Barnabas, a nasty team for the A team. A nasty triple for Duke's CCL. And despite Barney losing here, or are in a losing position, sorry, after queen to c6, white's so careless. And yeah, after that's short work. And yeah, that's a resignation because it's like a mate in one. Wow. Oh. So yeah, Duke at 8 points. And Waterloo at 4. Alyssa winning 2. And yeah, I don't know who else has been winning. There were some upsets in the first round. That's just nasty. Let's see how Leo fell. Looks like the rook was hung. Something. That's not smart. Yeah, it looks like the weaknesses on the king side really get a toll on Leo here. With this f pawn gone, this diagonal here, the a7 g1 diagonal was a problem. Never moving his king to h1 like I suggested. Now we're just waiting for the last round. I mean, a draw will win the game for Duke. Let's see how many points we can get. I'm thinking that we'll win 3 games, so we'll win 11-5. That's my prediction. But we will see how the games play. Nace Starleague looking down. Wonder if that's my laptop or if it's... Game 4 looks like the links are out. MyChess.com not detecting it. Let's simply refresh and see what happens here. The best that Waterloo can do is try to bring this game to playoffs, or to sudden death with Blitz Armageddon, I guess. Yeah, I'm not seeing the games yet, but maybe Waterloo taking a break, taking some time to regroup. I don't. Duke is not grouped. We don't need to be grouped. I mean, we're up 8-4. And wow, we got games starting. It looks like the games have been going on for a while. Chess.com not trying to ruin my stream. But yeah, we got Barnabas playing with the classic knight e3. We got the collection to c4 pawn, collection to c5 pawn, same pawn structure here. Barnabas is queen on the king side, saying, okay, I want to create some problems. Knight to e5, forking the rook as well as putting pressure on the king side. And yeah, there is a lot of pressure here. This knight's pinned. Technically, black can win a pawn here, but do you really want that here? Probably not. And this is not even a threat because the rook. I mean, you can just even take here, I think. Takes. Yeah. Barney going for this. Smart move. Maybe you have to take with the... No way you take with the king. Yeah, no way. That's asking for getting fucked. Yeah, this is already a win. There's Duke's win. I mean, I knew it would happen. Let's look at Alyssa versus Ben here. Looks like there was a Slav. Ben saying, I just want to play whatever the fuck. And going for this classic, probably a6 soon. Going for c5. There's a c5 and saying that, okay, I've gotten rid of all my problems. The Slav is, wow. Taking with the pawn instead of the bishop. Probably because of some weird bishop sacrifices there. I mean, you gotta move this bishop back. I wonder if you could take. No way. I kind of like Alyssa's position, actually. The rook here is going to be able to come in. This bishop coordinates well in the c7 square. How are you defending this? Ben, what are you doing? You move the bishop here, the rook here. What's going on here? Rook b8, bishop c8. Maybe you have to take on e3 and say, okay, I'm going to sack. I'm going to sack for two things. Push your king to the king side and then say that my pawn on f7 is worth my bit. I mean, that's the only thing I can see. Wow. Is this legit? Is this gonna be okay? Rook to c7 just looks, I mean, immediate to me. I guess there's knight to d6. Ben solo on time. Poor play by Ben, I think. To be fair, though, he's been playing a lot with me, and that's known to decrease your rating by 200 points, so that could be the reason why he's losing. There might have been something wrong with rook d7, or rook c7. The knight guards f2. Was there not? Takes here, check. You win the knight, but you lose the bishop at the end of the line. There's no mate. Okay, never mind. Ben's piece is conglomerated in the center of the board. I feel like usually you want to put pawns there, not pieces. The knight on d3 is being very annoying, restricting the bishop on d4. I mean, I'm looking at some like weird rook to d7 move. f5. I mean, does rook d7 not do really well? I think I play knight f6 there. Horrible. So sloppy. So sloppy. What? So sloppy. But Alyssa doing very well. She's streaming, it looks like, which is pretty cool. Oh, wow. Gordon. Or not Gordon. Leo. A strong force in Alpine. Sicilian looked like some sort of Alpine structure. And, what the? Up a piece. for rook. And this is, yeah, that's a huge win from Leo. There's the win for Duke. Immediately. Ben lost. Barnabas won. Ben doing horrible. Doing equally as good as Leo, who is my substitute. I mean, I might as well substitute for Ben at this point. And let's take a look at the last game. Let's see if my prediction will be right with 11. This game not developing too much. A French. Weird bishop d3 French. Bishop queen f. This is odd. Gordon probably saying, I don't give a fuck what I play. I know we've already won. What's the material here? I mean, white is up a piece. Yes, his king is exposed, but he's up a piece. And also, black has no time. What's going on here? What's going on here? I guess b4 is attempting to be played. I don't know why they couldn't play it immediately. But, I mean, this looks pretty cool with the 3 pawns here. The 3 pawns here. That's a pretty nice position. White's position a lot more random. Knight to d1 attacking the bishop. Bishop has nowhere to go except here. Could also play d3. Or, sorry, b3. Bishop escapes. You gotta get this rook into the game. Rook c1 or something. Or maybe rook b1. Or you could just take and open the day file. That's smart. Gordon's knights here are just so nasty. And there's no way that the c file is opening up. So white's king is actually surprisingly safe. I mean, does that move not just fall victim to... Oh no, there's rook c7. Rook c7. Takes. But, I mean, I don't know why I didn't take this. At the end of the day, white's up a piece. So if white can trade off the pieces, that's just solid. Now the rook is coming to the game. Rook to e1. Black does have 2 extra pawns for the piece. Hold on a second. This is hella dangerous. The knight is not doing much to stop these pawns. How is Gordon going to defend this? Oh. Ugly. Ugly. You gotta get the rook out of here. What the hell? No, b2. Gordon losing the last game, but it doesn't really matter because Duke won. It was 2-2 in the end. I mean, Duke probably wasn't trying. But yeah, very interesting game. A little bit stressful there in the middle, but Duke able to win 10-6 against Waterloo.